What if some real-world innovators turn bad? In a fictional scenario, for those billionaires, everything is so well aligned that if they decide, they can become supervillains at any time. Number 5. Elon Musk. When we think about who might become a tech supervillain, Elon Musk is the first name that comes to mind. His image is more of a quirky genius with big ideas. Sure, he's had his share of gaffes, like trying to bust unions, getting into legal troubles, and even smoking weed on a podcast. These mishaps don't exactly scream supervillain, but given his growing influence and futuristic ambitions, Musk could play that role in a way we might not expect. Musk's ventures are all about pushing the limits of technology. He's constantly making bold predictions, especially regarding AI. While he's warned that AI could be dangerous, he's also heavily involved in developing it. What if, in the future, AI starts to take over? Musk could find himself in a position where he's not just warning about AI, but actually controlling it. Let's imagine some scenarios. Musk's Tesla cars are everywhere, and he's continuously improving their technology and making them self-driving. What if one day he could use his control over these cars for more than just getting people from point A to point B? Picture a future where he can remotely command all Teslas, turning them into a powerful fleet for his purposes. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but with Tesla's growing reach, it's not entirely out of the question. Then there's SpaceX, Musk's ambitious space company. If he wanted to, he could use SpaceX to take over the US Space Force, turning it into his private space operation. Musk's rockets and space technology could give him a huge advantage in space, making him a major player in a new frontier. Another of Musk's innovations, the Cybertruck, could play a role in this hypothetical scenario. Originally designed as a tough futuristic truck, imagine if it were repurposed as a military vehicle or tank. Initially just a novelty, Musk's flamethrowers could become serious weapons in this imagined future. With the Boring Company, he could create secret underground lairs and tunnels all over the world. These would be perfect for moving things or people without anyone knowing. Then there's Neuralink, Musk's brain chip project. If he decided to use that for mind control, things could get scary fast. Imagine millions of people connected to Musk's network, their thoughts and actions influenced by his whims. He'd practically control humanity. But wait, there's more. Starlink, his satellite-powered internet, already covers huge parts of the globe. What if Musk used it to take over all communications? He could decide who gets online and who stays in the dark. No internet, no information, no power. With control over tunnels, mines, and the internet, Musk would have the tools to rule the world, unseen and unstoppable. The craziest part? He's got the tech in place already. Let's just hope he sticks to launching rockets and making electric cars instead of world domination. Now, let's add X, into the mix. Musk's recent acquisition and rebranding of Twitter gives him direct control over how millions of people communicate and share ideas online. With X, he owns public opinion in the digital world. If he wanted, he could manipulate trends, control what's seen, or even silence voices that don't align with his vision. All of these ideas might sound like the stuff of fiction, but Musk's track record shows he's not afraid to dream big and shake things up. His social media posts and memes, which might seem like random distractions, could be part of a larger plan. Perhaps they're a way to keep people off his trail while he works on more serious projects. Number 4. Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, the young self-made billionaire who revolutionized connectivity, now wields extraordinary power through his creation, Facebook. Imagine having access to the addresses, emails, and photos of over 1 billion people from around the globe, people who willingly share their lives online. That's the kind of influence Zuckerberg has at his fingertips, thanks to the massive platform he built. Facebook, now known as Meta, is more than just a social media site. It's a digital empire. With each passing moment, Zuckerberg's reach grows as more users join and engage. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, keeps people glued to their news feeds, creating a continuous stream of data that adds to Zuckerberg's vast network. This constant influx expands his influence and gives him unprecedented access to personal information. As Facebook's army of users grows, so does Zuckerberg's power. It's almost like a digital empire, where the more people connect, the more control he has. But this immense power comes with its share of controversy. Zuckerberg has faced criticism over how he handles the data users share. The Cambridge Analytica scandal, where millions of profiles were harvested without consent, brought significant backlash. Another major issue is Facebook's role in spreading misinformation. Despite efforts to curb fake news, the platform has been a breeding ground for false and misleading content, from influencing elections to fueling health misinformation during the COVID-19 pandemic. Facebook has been criticized for not addressing these problems. Facebook also owns Instagram and WhatsApp, which means Zuck controls a huge chunk of social media world. That's billions of people who rely on his platforms to communicate, share ideas, and stay connected. If he decided to manipulate what people see or restrict access to certain information, he could easily influence public opinion on a massive scale. Then there's Zuckerberg's ambitious push into the metaverse. This virtual reality space is meant to be the next big thing, where people can interact in a fully immersive digital world. While it's a fascinating concept, it raises concerns about privacy and control. Critics worry that creating such a vast virtual realm under one company's control could lead to even more concentration of power and potential abuses. Moreover, Zuckerberg's influence extends beyond Facebook. His decisions can impact global politics and public discourse, giving him a level of control that many find unsettling. With such vast reach and influence, questions about accountability and ethical responsibility inevitably arise. Number 3. Bill Gates. Bill Gates, the founder and former CEO of Microsoft, might not be the first name that comes to mind when you think of a tech supervillain, but there are some dark corners to his legacy. Gates is often blamed for the collapse of various tech companies from the 1990s, as Microsoft's aggressive strategies and market dominance pushed many out of business. Remember the days when Microsoft dominance seemed to squash almost any competitor that dared to challenge its empire? Consider the tech landscape of the 1990s. Microsoft's influence was so overwhelming that it made life tough for up-and-coming tech companies. Gates' strategies often involved outmaneuvering competitors rather than collaborating, leading to the downfall of several companies that struggled to compete with Microsoft's behemoth. Imagine a world where Bill Gates turns his technological empire into a weapon. As the co-founder of Microsoft, Gates already has a legacy in shaping modern computing. Even though he stepped down from the company, his influence lingers across the world's software infrastructure. With access to global data platforms and his involvement in cutting-edge tech, Gates could, hypothetically, tap into vast amounts of sensitive data. In this sinister scenario, Gates could use his control over data to manipulate economies, governments, and even populations. His access to technology wouldn't just stop at the corporate level, it could affect every individual, making him the unseen hand behind global surveillance. But it doesn't end with technology. Gates has poured billions into public health, focusing on vaccines and eradicating diseases. His foundation influences global health policy, and he plays a key role in shaping vaccine distribution. Now, imagine if this power was twisted. What if Gates controlled who got life-saving treatments and who didn't? With influence over organizations like the World Health Organization and Gavi, Gates could use his control of global health systems to manipulate entire nations. A pandemic could be an opportunity to exercise unprecedented power, making countries and people bend to his will in exchange for survival. But there's another domain where Gates' influence is expanding: agriculture. He's now the largest private owner of farmland in the United States. Think about that. Hundreds of thousands of acres under his control. He's invested heavily in agricultural technology and genetically modified crops, which could revolutionize food production or monopolize it. With the power to control food supply chains, Gates could decide who gets to plant crops and who doesn't. Patents on genetically modified seeds could become a form of economic blackmail, creating artificial food shortages or manipulating prices to starve populations into submission. And let's not forget his power in the world of philanthropy. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is one of the largest and most influential organizations on the planet, shaping global policies on health, education, and agriculture. In the hands of a supervillain, this vast network of influence could be a tool to control governments, push through covert agendas, and reshape global priorities in ways that serve his darker goals. Even climate change and sustainability issues where Gates has invested billions could become tools for manipulation. Imagine if these solutions to save the world from climate collapse were in his hands, deciding who lives in the new green economy and who is left out. Technology, health, agriculture, land, food. Bill Gates already has influence over all these critical systems. In a world where he chooses power over progress, these could be the keys to total domination. So, what if Bill Gates became a supervillain? Number 2. Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir and co-founder of PayPal, is a tech leader who could fit the supervillain mold, and here's why. He's been involved in a string of controversial issues and scandals that paint a rather unsettling picture. First off, Thiel's connections with the US government raises eyebrows. He's been linked to various government initiatives that some say threaten the free press. With his significant financial resources, Thiel could potentially fund numerous government projects, including those that might be used to monitor or control public discourse. His wealth gives him the power to influence policies, and if he chooses, he could even support government operations that limit freedom. When it comes to social media, Thiel's influence doesn't stop at his financial backing. He has ties to Facebook and has been known to push against efforts to fact-check political ads. This might seem like a small thing, but in the grand scheme, it means he could help spread misinformation or allow unchecked propaganda to proliferate, affecting public opinion and elections. Thiel's company, Palantir, is another piece of this puzzle. It's notorious for its data mining and surveillance capabilities. Palantir has been involved in tracking people and collecting data on a massive scale, often criticized for its role in privacy invasions and controversial government contracts. Just like Facebook, Palantir has been embroiled in its own share of scandals, further tainting Thiel's reputation. Thiel once said in a particularly chilling quote, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible." This statement alone raises red flags. It suggests that he might not just be a passive observer, but someone who actively challenges democratic principles and freedoms. If you believe that supervillains have a dark vision for the world, Thiel's views seem to align with that narrative. And here's another twist. If Thiel ever faces too much backlash or legal trouble, he's got the means to escape. With his substantial wealth, he could easily relocate to a more favorable corner of the globe, effectively dodging the consequences of his actions. So, can Thiel become a supervillain? There's no concrete proof to label him as such, but the signs are there. His influence over social media, his company's controversial activities, and his unsettling statements all paint a picture of someone who could potentially use his power in very concerning ways. Number 1. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is often in the spotlight as the richest person in the world, thanks to his vast fortune. But despite his enormous wealth, there is a darker side to his empire that raises eyebrows. Amazon, his brainchild, is notorious for the poor working conditions faced by its employees. Workers in Amazon warehouses report grueling hours and harsh conditions, which starkly contrasts with the image of Bezos as a successful entrepreneur. And then there's the issue of union busting. Amazon has made headlines for its efforts to prevent workers from organizing, using aggressive tactics to keep unions out. Recently, part-time employees at Whole Foods, owned by Amazon, had their benefits cut, adding to the criticism of Bezos' approach to worker welfare. On the flip side, Bezos is pouring enormous amounts of money into his space venture Blue Origin in a bid to rival SpaceX. While he seems to have no qualms about spending big, it's worth noting that his investments in space exploration come from a nearly bottomless pit of resources. It's almost as if he's using his financial clout to chase ambitious projects without considering his savings. Now, let's consider Amazon's tech surveillance potential. With devices like Alexa and Ring, Bezos has a front row seat to the kind of data that could be misused if not handled carefully. The idea of a tech giant having this kind of access is unsettling. Imagine if he could leverage these tools for nefarious purposes. It's a chilling thought. Is Bezos evil? It's hard to say definitively. He's not the cartoonish villain some might imagine, but his influence is undeniably growing. From Amazon's retail dominance to its expanding presence in entertainment through Prime Video, and even owning the Washington Post, his reach into our lives is extensive. Bezos' physical resemblance to Lex Luthor only adds to the perception that he's a powerful figure with a complex societal impact. Now, which of these tech giants do you think could be a supervillain in the future? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. See ya!